Good afternoon, wrestling community, and welcome to another edition of WrestleTalkShow. I'm your host, Joshua Zimmerman, here to discuss the current happenings in the world of professional wrestling. Anything and everything pro wrestling, we cover it. Like we always do, we want to thank our audience for your viewership. Without you, this would not be possible. We appreciate the increased page views each and every day. More and more of you hop on and see our material. So we hope you like what you put out and that you'll visit the show site, WrestleTalkShow.webs.com. Learn how to become a member for just $2.50 a month. Bonus material, bonus videos, a lot of bang for your buck. The site will be edited right after this video post, so if you want to wait, I'd say about an hour. We're working on it as we speak, and you can learn the specifics on what the membership will include, what we hope to bring you with potential donations and sponsorship to the show. We'd like to cover the pay-per-view events, go to some more of the shows and get you in-house reports, live feeds. I'm looking at Blog Talk Radio. That way we can have callers call in on the show. Do a rotation of special guests again, to where it's not just me, where it's other analysts who've been involved with the material and know the material, know the product. But let's get into what we've learned today in the world of pro wrestling. USA Network, this is kind of old news, but I didn't really know yet that USA had agreed to bring back Tough Enough. That kind of feels good to me because USA sees how Raw is doing, and I think if it does any less, USA won't carry it, but I could always be wrong. They don't mind a 3.1 or higher, but if this show pulls a SmackDown rating, if it pulls SmackDown ratings or lower than that, I wouldn't see it being kept on there past 3 or 4 episodes. They've actually got to make it mean something. And then maybe with the way USA promotes all of its programming, that network would be good to go with, but it's got to at least compete with Raw ratings, because Raw wouldn't be around if it wasn't doing well. And why pay to broadcast a program that's doing less than what your flagship program is doing? But that, again, that's only a prediction. But we'll see where it goes from that. But like I said, if they make it mean something, then I think people will tune in. Strike Force has got something coming out right along those lines, so I think it'll compete, as a lot of the wrestling audience has gone to MMA as the luster, as we discussed in past videos. The luster in the dispensing of disbelief is no longer there. WWE and TNA have killed it. It's what they do on the downtime between WrestleMania and Slammiversery. Moving down the list, WWE, more comments on WWE high dividend payouts despite the company losing money over the last two years. And that's, like we said before, but this actually came as current news according to Yahoo Money, according to the stock quote, as of 10:30 this morning. Shares were valued at about $14, an increase of about 8 cents as of, again, 10:30 a.m. That'll probably change as the closing bell I believe it closes at 4:30, and we're about 40 minutes from that. So we'll see what the closing bell has to offer, and whether or not it went up or went down, that'll be on the next episode. But more or less, the investors are calling for smaller dividend payouts to ensure financial stability for you, for the long term for WWE. But there's no real reason to go back into that. It's kind of common sense business, and it kind of shocks me to hear that Vince has been doing this, and that this is their stance to basically. They've been losing money over. For those of you who didn't watch the video, I believe it's the video before last. Well, the video set before last, because the last two were Genesis coverage and general TNA news to get you updated. Basically, they've been losing money the last 2 years in what used to be key business areas, but at the same time making money because they own the rights to everything they do. And they make money off of that. They're not doing great in pay-per-view, but they're still generating something there. They have to improve it. It's gone down from the last decade, but it's still there. But it's not their most mentionable form of revenue anymore as a decade ago, 12 years ago. Not to mark out on the Attitude Era whatsoever, but it's just stating a fact. 12 years ago, when you spent $30, $40 on a WWE pay-per-view, you felt at the end of that pay-per-view that it meant something. That you didn't just blow $60, $70 for nothing. And I commented videos ago that when you basically sell yourself out, because with Comcast at least, when you bought the SmackDown game, I believe it was a partnership with Comcast or just a general WWE credit nonetheless. Either way, it doesn't look good. But when you bought SmackDown versus Raw 2011, as it first came out, I don't know if the promotion's still running, you got a $20 credit towards a pay-per-view. But that pretty much shows your hand. That shows that, hey, you're going to spend $50, $60 for this game, and in return, we'll give you $20 back on the back end on a pay-per-view. But if you watch that, that's a specific, it's in the title actually. If you add up the costs, the fees, the price of the game, the price of the pay-per-view, you don't really save anything. You got your average gaming platform going for $50 to $60. You have your average pay-per-view going for $49.99, and that's before your cable provider and WWE tack in the tax, franchise fees, a portion of what WWE pays the pay-per-view distributor gets passed on to you as the nature of business. But you don't really save anything. Christian to make a FCW appearance tonight. Florida Championship Wrestling, WWE's developmental brand. And the Steamboat is to appear in another FCW event tomorrow night. Recent TNA news. Yet on last night's TNA Impact, they brought back Karen Jarrett, formerly known as Karen Angle. This again, speaking of forcing hands and trying to fix what you obviously know you broke. I haven't even read the preliminaries yet. I just pulled this particular mentionable out of the recap. But this is obviously to fix that your MMA exhibition, Jeff Jarrett versus Kurt Angle at your Genesis pay-per-view on this past Sunday, was a no-sell for Angle coming back and should have been a bigger deal. Hindsight, they see it should have been a bigger deal. And now watch this as we scatter to fix yet another thing in our promotion that we fucked up. I was listening to the PW Torch last night, and great program as well, pwtorch.com, great monthly program, check them out. And they had a caller on there that said that ROH kind of reviews all the brands unbiasedly. I guess it's different when you're doing a show whereas you're trying to look at what your promotion can do differently. But you can't say anything. There's positive talent in TNA, but the way they're being utilized anymore, they're not going to be known for doing anything impactful in the business. And that's another rant, maybe part 2, but let me get through the news here before we run out of time. Dixie Carter, I guess, found out, or the PW Torch reported, and I guess Dixie found out, obviously, as it's well known, that it reported that TNA is ditching the X division, and she was real quick to tweet, I believe that's her common form of communication with the fan base, that it's not that they're scrapping it, they're going to hard reset it, more or less, and come back stronger as they plan a Destination X pay-per-view on 7/10/2011, along with a couple other pay-per-views already slotted for the 2011. Are already slotted for this year and committed pay-per-views that they have to do. Sacrifice doesn't look like it's committed, but you basically have her saying they're doing a hard reset, and they've done it before, and it's only gotten worse. What you see in your X Division now is the result of the last reset where they were going to fix it, and you see what you get. Enough said. Annual TNA pay-per-view Slammiversery is slotted for 2011 to take place in Orlando, Florida, June 12th, 2011. It took place in Orlando, Florida last year as well. Before that, the 3 years before 2010, they took it on the road. Against all odds, slated for 2/13/2011, Victory Road. 3/13/2011, TNA Lockdown. 4/17/2011. As I said, Sacrifice kind of looks like it's up in the air. Destination X, which seems like an X Division themed pay-per-view, July 10th, 2011. And here we have Dana White, your MMA news for the afternoon. Dana White coming out again and saying Brock Lesnar will not be a part of WrestleMania. WWE wants him hard. They know he'll sell. They know that since that Undertaker-Lesnar confrontation, that people are still debating on whether or not it was angled in to create this controversy, because they really don't, it's kind of cool. I think it would be really cool to see it happen. I mean, I'm not saying WWE shouldn't pay something, but you're obviously not going to put him in anything major, but maybe an appearance, maybe a beatdown where the two can kind of spar, and you go from there. I think it came out all of a sudden, and MMA is just wondering what happened over what they'd have you believe was not planned. Mark Calloway was at a TNA, an MMA event months back, and had words with Brock Lesnar, and went on in an interview that during that confrontation to say that he has personal issues with Brock Lesnar. I think it'd be cool to see it come out, play that angle, not match after match after match, because that's why Brock, they get tired of the WWE routine. But we'll see what happens. We're about to bring you part 2 and our feature segment, so stay tuned. More at WrestleTalkShow.webs.com, YouTube.com/CWE Company. Friend us on Facebook, Twitter, both CWE Company. Emails, CWECompany@gmail.com. We want to hear from you. Part 2 coming next.